Now, Congresswoman Eshoo, who announced this will be her last term in Congress last year, is a co-sponsor of a bill that passed the House this week targeting TikTok. So the bill, which had bipartisan support, calls for the company to be sold from its parent company over its ties to the Chinese government. If the bill is signed into law and TikTok is not sold, the platform could be banned in the U.S. TikTok has long denied it is influenced by China. Congressmember Anna Eshoo joins us now on Inside California Politics. Congressmember Eshoo, great to talk to you. I want to start with clarifying some rhetoric. There's a lot out there right now in terms of what should happen with TikTok. And in the headlines, it's ban TikTok. But the bill you're backing does not call for that in a way. I listened to your speech on the floor this past week, and you said that's not something you're in favor of.
No, I'm not. It's very important to get this right because TikTok is so important to so many American users, over 170 million American users. That's more than half of the population of the United States. It is a divestiture. And the reason that we're calling for a divestiture and the bill requires that TikTok separate itself, the data that it possesses, the personal data of every single one of these over 170 million American users, because the parent company, ByteDance, is a Chinese company. And when I participated in the classified briefings, more than one, actually several of them, and I served on the House Intelligence Committee for almost a decade. So I know what how classified briefings are handled, how important they are. And I might add, and should add, that when I took my oath of office, and every single member of Congress, our number one responsibility is to protect and defend our Constitution and our country. So this is a serious issue. It's a national security issue. So the divestiture, I think, is appropriate. This is not the first time that the American government has called for a divestiture of an adversary country. And I don't expect all the young people that use TikTok to be thinking of national security. They may not even know what those two words mean. I understand that. But it's our responsibility as members of Congress to not only understand it, to appreciate the risk that is associated with it, and to take action. So as you pointed out, I don't support banning. I don't think a court would, if it was tested in the court, I don't think a ban would stand. But a divestiture, I think, is not only appropriate, but I believe will pass constitutional muster.
Well, and also, if you were in those classified briefings and you're sounding the alarm, folks should definitely listen. I want to ask you about the next phase of this, because obviously this passed out of the House. Now it's in the Senate, and it's slowed down a bit. The president said if it makes it to his desk, he will sign it. So how confident are your colleagues in the Senate?
Well, I haven't spoken to the Senate. I know that you said the Senate is going to take it up slowly. That's really kind of the slogan of the Senate, to be slow. But they need to do a deep dive on this and examine the bill, not for how it's being portrayed, but what each word in the bill represents. And the president has, I think, appropriately stated that we send the bill to him, that he would sign it into law.
Finally, I want to ask you about this proposal that came out this week from the former Treasury Secretary under former President Trump, Steve Mnuchin, who said that he was putting together an investors group to buy TikTok because he felt like it should be an American-owned company. What do you make of that?
Well, it's the reason there would be any interest is, yes, it must be a American-owned company. So I'm not surprised about that. Well, let's see. I think that there will be many that will be interested in the acquisition of TikTok because of the scale, the sheer scale of the users.
All right, we will leave it there. Congressmember Anna Eshoo, we appreciate your time here on Inside California Politics. And as you articulated, as this bill makes it over into the Senate through the slow process the Senate is known for, as soon as there are some advancements, we'd love to have you back on the show.
Certainly, and it's good to be with you.